Welcome back. On today's video, I'm going to do a follow-up on our prior video on the fractional real estate investing app Landa, and that is at landa.app. The initial video we published was about 6 months ago, and at the time there were some questions that had been posed about the security, the stability of Landa, and there are some follow-ups that I want to make sure that everyone is aware of. Just the high-level view at this point is my recommendation being stay away. Landa has some issues. In fact, this article just popped up. Landa did create a Discord channel, and on that channel there is some discord with people who are not very happy with how Landa is handling their work. And this article pretty much sums it up. So, jumping right in, I want to hit a few high-level pieces. There's a lawsuit that's been focused against Landa, it looks like, and based on this article, they're having some issues and they're having to hand over 119 of their properties to the lender. Now, when you have a company that has a couple of hundred properties, handing over half or more of those properties to a lender is obviously a bad sign. So let's go through here real quick. It talks about there's more than 100 properties owned by Landa are being handed over to a lender, but Landa is actually operating in defiance of a judge's order. What does that mean? Well, it looks like there's a couple that had lent money, or a lending institution that had lent money to Landa, and a judge had ordered Landa to turn over 119 of those properties, at least the rent, bank account, and operations of those 119 properties, to Viola Credit and L Finance. And it looks like Landa is not doing that, according to the lender. It says that Landa immediately disregarded the injunction, drained $724,000 from the properties, and directed the tenants to pay rent to a new bank account because the old bank accounts had been frozen. Right away, that is pretty much a bad sign. If you are a business operating in defiance of a court order, it makes you appear more guilty. Now, I don't know if they are or not. My own anecdotal experience would say that they're not operating in a way that I would like to see, but this it's not a good look. The statement from the attorneys for the lender said defendants brazenly have acted as if no restraints whatsoever have been imposed upon them, and in fact have acted to taken steps to circumvent and flout the injunction. I'll leave a link to this article in the description below. You'll see it coming from an archive.is link, because if you don't go through this link, it's behind a paywall. But it goes through talking about how they have not been operating like the courts told them to. They talk about some of their tenants saying that they had been living in squalor. This apparently is a picture from outside one of the properties. It mentions they own more than 200 single-family rentals in the Atlanta area and throughout the Southeast, as well as a couple of Brooklyn apartments. And if you have operated at all on Landa's website, you've seen that is the case. We'll get to one of those properties here shortly. It does talk about financial disclosure showing that Landa's properties are now bleeding cash, and lenders are looking to collect on the short-term debt and the company used to finance it. And I can tell you from the Discord site, the investors that are on that site, and actually one or two tenants who have actually joined that site, are indicating this is accurate. The tenants that I've seen that are posting on the site are saying that their apartments are not being maintained, that it's difficult to get in touch with anyone. I can tell you from my own experience, I have gotten in touch with people over at Landa on the customer service side, and the answers are useless. The people are nice, they're trying to be helpful when they get back to you, which is usually a few days, but the answers are inactionable. There's no substance to them. It's we're working on it, we're working on it, we're working on it. As someone who has owned rental properties, it does not take a year to get a new tenant in a property if you're appropriately watching the market. Another piece here is throughout the TRO, the temporary restraining order, and the injunction, this person ordered Landa to turn over control of the 119 properties and the bank accounts associated with them, and then the lender actually hired a gal named Anna Phillips to manage the properties. Landa, more recently, down in the article it does say, has agreed to cooperate with this and they've agreed to turn or send messages to all their tenants, and the property operations will be turned over to the new manager. And then what is expected to happen is that Landa will be selling those properties, or the new manager will be selling those properties, to pay back the investors the lender, it is unknown if any investors within Landa will benefit from any property sales. So this is the downside to investing in a fractional real estate company. You don't have control over those properties. Yes, you have little ownership bits and pieces in those, but you don't have actually control over any of those properties. So I don't know if this particular property is involved in the lawsuit or not. It shouldn't be, because according to Landa, there is no mortgage on this property. But here are some of the things I've seen. This is a property that is in Atlanta, Georgia. It is a fourplex. It was built in 2005. This property should be in good shape. It should be something that is easily rentable. If you look at the photos that were shown by Landa, this is a property that is pretty darn decent. The interior looks great. You've got a fireplace, granite countertops. This is the type of property that should do well in a rental market. It is actually directly behind a large apartment complex, meaning it's in a rental area, but it's a higher end apartment complex from what I could gather. So it should be something that rents well. If you look, however, at the occupancy here, it talks about, well, here's the building overall. You should be getting almost $8,000 a month in rent. Unit 1, however, is under renovation. Well, Unit 1 has been under renovation for a long, long time. We're talking almost a year, if memory serves. Unit 2 is in marketing. Now, here's where the question comes in, because it says this one should be $2,500 a month, but Unit 2 is in marketing at $965 a month. That's, what, a 60% haircut on rent? Unit 3 is under renovation. Again, Unit 3 has been under renovation for quite some time. Unit 2, by the way, had been under eviction for the longest time also. And Unit 4 is, well, go figure, under eviction again at $2,000 a month. Now, why the discrepancy in the rents? Under renovation, $2,500. The only one that's actually in marketing is going for under $1,000 a month, when every other unit in that property should be going for over $2,000. We've got some issues here that aren't being reported. If you come down to the rent, see, this is why I feel like the Landa platform had great potential, because it shows you all of the information of what should be there. But it's talking about the rent missing, and you'll see this is for March 2024, not 2025. That's kind of the time period we're in. This hasn't shown information for the longest time. And going back up, let's go to the building overall. It talks about where we have received rent in August 2024 of $11,000, $14,000, but I can tell you these numbers aren't accurate. We get down here, you see that there are 12,190 investors in this property, because the average share price is currently sitting at $2.76 per share. By the way, the shares before, I want to say, were sitting around $14 per share or $11 per share. If you go back into the dividends, where they're supposed to be renting the property out and sharing the dividends, you can see that dividends have not been paid for a number of months. The last time that we showed they collected any rent based on their website was $1,035 back in November. Since then, they have not collected a penny. And if you go back before that, there was no money paid either. So they're not collecting rent. The property has been sitting with, at least in my experience, 3 of the 4 units not paying for over a year. And the responses that you get back from the customer service people is, we're working on it. There are bigger issues at play at Landa. So based on this information, I don't believe you can even buy shares in any of the properties, but in case you are looking at Landa right now, my recommendation based on my personal experience is stay away. Don't risk your money there. There's other options for you in the fractional or partial ownership real estate market. I hope this is helpful. If it is, give us a like down below. If you'd like to see more content like this, consider subscribing to the channel. And if you know someone this may benefit, please do share the video. Thanks for being here. We'll see you on the next one.